We acted to deter the future use of chemical weapons by holding the Syrian regime responsible for its atrocities against humanity.
Well, we start tonight with the ever-growing fallout after the airstrikes made by the U.S., U.K. and France against Syria's chemical weapons program. Now, as the U.S. and its allies claim success, others are condemning the nations for their response to Syria's alleged actions and to their own attacks. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Eric Rucker. One country upset about those attacks is Russia, who issued a resolution condemning the attack during an emergency meeting by the United Nations Security Council today. Now, the council rejected that resolution. The strike came a week after an alleged chemical weapons attack by the Syrian government, killing scores of people, including children. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence saying he hopes Syria, Russia, and their supporters got the message from those bombs.
The United States and our allies and the civilized world are prepared to continue this effort until we are assured that chemical weapons will never be used again against innocent civilians in Syria.
The Pentagon says the strikes targeted 3 facilities using 105 missiles, U.S. B-1 bombers, warships, and submarines. Both Russia and Syria claim a significant number of those missiles were shot down. The Pentagon adamantly denies that account. President Donald Trump now facing some backlash for his tweet regarding those airstrikes. The president saying, quote, "Thank you to France and the United Kingdom for their wisdom and the power of their fine military. Could not have had a better result. Mission accomplished." People immediately made a connection to similar comments made by former President George W. Bush. Bush gave a speech after U.S. troops entered Iraq back in 2003. During the speech, Bush was under a banner that read, "Mission accomplished." Of course, that war went on for years.
Money for jobs and education,
not for war and occupation.
Not everyone is happy with the U.S. involvement in President Trump's decision to take military action in Syria. That includes some here in Sacramento. Dozens of protesters held signs and chanted against U.S. involvement during a rally in Midtown tonight. Fox 40's Doug Johnson joins us live in studio with what their message was to Washington. Doug.
Eric, protesters we spoke with are disappointed the president jumped to military action without first letting international organizations confirm the chemical attacks. And they fear the U.S. getting more involved in the Syrian civil war will only lead to more bloodshed.
no war, no way, U.S. out of Syria.
In the crowd of protesters in front of the Sacramento Memorial Auditorium tonight,
for Syrians, U.S. strikes aren't new.
Syrian American Susan Boulad is one of the few with firsthand knowledge of the now 7-year-long Syrian civil war. Over the years, she spent many summers in that country visiting family.
Syrians feel abandoned and like their future is very uncertain.
Boulad believes those U.S. missile strikes in the past 48 hours are now only making things worse.
It's the Iraq War, it's Vietnam.
Others like David Mandel agree, adding that while chemical weapons are terrible, President Trump had other options to prevent chemical weapons from being used.
But the way to do that is through international diplomacy and cooperation, not through unilaterally just going in and bombing the hell out of them just because we feel like it or because Trump wants to increase his popularity.
Amir Sale, one of the organizers of today's protests, would prefer President Trump focus less on the Middle East and more on issues back home.
We don't want to see our country just spending all this money on the military while we're getting cutbacks in healthcare, education, housing. All the things that we need to live are being cut.
Boulad says her family back in Syria prays for peace, an accomplishment she believes can only come through diplomacy, not missile strikes.
We don't need more military action. We need all international parties to push for a political solution.
Again, many protesters we spoke with today say these chemical attacks remind them just too much of alleged weapons of mass destruction they heard about back in Iraq in 2003, and they wish President Trump had waited for inspectors from the Organization for the Prevention of Chemical Warfare to confirm chemical weapons were really used before he ordered these latest attacks. In our studio tonight, Doug Johnson, Fox 40 News.
All right, Doug, thank you. You can follow the latest developments on the fallout of the airstrikes by heading to our website or our Fox 40 News app. All you have to do is just search Syria.